Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Henry Onowale, your AI expert, your AI strategist, and your AI host for AI Spotlight Show. On today's episode of AI Spotlight Show, we will be having our first AI book review, which will be live streamed, and Kris Boehm will be our first guest for our AI book review. And we are so grateful for this opportunity. And in this era of artificial intelligence, we think it is important that people find easy access to information on how to grow their self as an AI expert. Because there is a lot of information that is out there, and a lot of people are confused, not knowing what specific AI skill they should acquire, or there are people that are in position of leadership that do not know how to drive AI implementation. Some leaders doesn't even know what specific AI skill do they need to acquire, and that is the reason we decided to come up with another episode of the AI Spotlight, which is called the AI Book Review section. And we're having an author here who has written a book, which is one of the best sellers on Amazon. And he will be telling us more about the book. And for those of you who are leaders, I think you will find this book very interesting. It will help you to drive your AI strategy as a leader and how to prepare yourself for the coming future. So you can all see that recently the CEO of Anthropic said for the first time by 2026 or 2027, we are going to have $1 billion company with just one person. How possible is that? Are you saying that leadership, are you saying that artificial intelligence is going to eliminate leadership role? How true is that? Let's find out in this book review. Everyone, welcome Kris Boehm. Hi, Kris Boehm. Welcome to AI Spotlight book review section.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here, Henry.
Great. Do you mind telling us the title of your book, and if you can also give us a snippet of how many chapters we have in that book and what each chapters entail?
Sure. Yeah, the name of the book is CEO, and it came from a question that I couldn't shake. What if a CEO isn't human? We've talked years about AI replacing jobs, but we rarely talk about it replacing leadership. So that's addressed in my book, and um, in the table of contents, I think it was important to uh, identify the key characters in their role. That's important as you start reading the book to understand how they contributed to the decision. Um, the first chapter is called Breaking Point, and uh, it's set in a boardroom. Bold Proposal is the second chapter. Building a Perfect Leader is the third chapter. The fourth chapter is introducing James Lawson, who is the CEO, which is going to be taking over this multi-million dollar company. Um, then it discusses the first 100 days, how that leadership impacts the system or the business. And there's next chapter is cracks in the system, which triggers an investigation. And then there's a crisis in chapter 8. Chapter 9 is start tie everything together, emergent leadership. And chapter 10 is a final decision. Because in the book, of course, this is a new concept, and this was just something I had thought of back last year, and I decided to write about it. And as Henry said, it seems to be coming to an extent true. And so you'll find it very interesting how the bridge from my book into the next few years is going to coincide.
Wow, that is really amazing. Okay, it is time to deep dive into the book. Yeah, do you want to? Let's start with the breaking point. You know, what should we kind of anticipate by reading that chapter?
Okay, but the premise of the book is there is a fictional company called Zenith Communications. At the headquarters, the board is having a meeting, and it's a very serious meeting because uh, their company is not doing so well. They're losing 18% uh, of revenue quarter over quarter. They have no CEO, and they're trying to figure out how to be innovative. What can they do to get this company back in shape? Because if not, it's going to flounder. It used to be one of the top premier telecommunication companies, and so they reach a crisis. They've already done a lot of personnel cuts. They're trying to do all the things to generate revenue, but it's not working. And so they just the chairman said, "What can we do? Any suggestions?" And one of the things that was recommended is instead of hiring a CEO, of course, the CEO comes along with a high salary, benefits, and all that. Uh, One of the tech guys on the board said, "Why don't we create one?" Of course, deathly silence uh, overcame the board, and he started to explain how he would build them, or how he knows someone who could build it, and just give me a chance, and he'll come back and present it. So uh, that's kind of where that chapter goes. It goes from a boiling point to, hey, we need a solution. We're open to any ideas, and so that was the idea: have an AI powered CIO.
Wow, that is amazing. Wow, wow. And while you were saying that, I was thinking about an article I read. I think the company is based probably in the US or in UK, where they said they created an AI CEO, and they also talk about the success that they've recorded so far. Maybe in our next episode, we can deep dive into some recent studies on organizations that have decided to deploy artificial intelligence as their CEO. I think that would be a great discussion. Okay, let's move to the second chapter, which is a bold proposal.
Okay, uh, the character is named Ethan. Uh, he came back a few days later, and he had consulted with a uh, individual that he knew that could build it. And the price tag, of course, you would think that it would be expensive, and it was $18 million to build the CEO. But you think about it, uh, the CEO never sleeps. He's always on. He's always working. He's making good decisions quickly, and so um, after talking about that, the person who built it had a really great idea. Is that this visionary leader that's going to be taking over this company uh, has been schooled at Wharton with an MBA, and he also graduated from MIT. So right there is a key point in the book where a good leader, right, especially when it comes to AI, needs to have good business savvy, but also needs to be technical. So that was a very good combination for this virtual CIO, if you will. So as he announces to the board, of course their jaws drop, but the advantages started to outweigh the disadvantages, and he pulled up his laptop and plugged it into uh, the large LCD TV in the boardroom, and introduced the CEO, James Lawson, and he was it was very concerning to the board because he wasn't real. What are we going to tell people about our CEO? And they said we're not going to tell them. We'll just give it time to see what it can do. And so that brings us to where they actually did the building in chapter 3.
Wow. Okay, let's talk. Let's delve into building the perfect leader.
Yeah, in building the first perfect leader, you could think about if you to envision a perfect leader, what they'd have to lead with knowledge, with empathy. You'd have to trust them. Um, Many of the things that uh, some of the best leaders, you think about Lee Iacocca, he was very inspired. He turned Chrysler around, and there's a lot of other leaders that you can think of in history that were very well respected. Well, um, the advanced decision making was really key in building the model. And I don't go in technical detail, but just to know that the folks that were doing this were top of the line experts in AI and really understood leadership and also technology. And they made that investment, and then the future CEO uh, was pretty much perfect in his demeanor, in his speech, in his ideas, and um, in fact, his voice. It's amazing lately how you can. I saw videos on the agentic AI. They sound so human, right? And you go back a year and things didn't sound quite human, but they were pretty close. So when I envision that, uh, it's coming to life, um, and you can see it's very difficult sometimes to spot deep fakes, but this was not a fake. This was actually someone that's going to
Real. Yeah.
help the company get back on track. Um, so first thing that in the chapter ends with James Lawson saying, "Good evening. I reviewed the last reports from Zenith Communications. Shall we discuss my recommendations?" Now there wasn't a whole lot of time in him reviewing recommendations, so they were ready to see what he had to offer.
Wow. Okay, I have some questions for you. Um, Now, let us assume the proposal that was tendered to the board was accepted, that they decided to bring in an AI CEO to take over. In your experience, because I look at your profile, you've also worked as a top technology leader. What and being an author who wrote a book on ICO, what do you think would be 10 best traits that an AI leader will have over a woman leader? That is, I mean, a woman being, a woman figure. What do you think an AI leader, what are the 10 best traits? Or what do you think will be 10 best attributes that an AI leader will have better than someone who is a woman leader? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I'll try to come up with 10.
Okay.
Um, One thing that brings respect to a leader is
Hmm.
if they have knowledge. If you know that they know not necessarily your job, but know about your job,
Okay.
that will get them respect. So respect and knowledge are probably two things that would earmark him as a great leader.
Mhm.
Another one is being decisive,
Okay.
being able to make good decisions and stick with them and back them up. And that's important because you don't want a leader who will tell you one thing and do something else. You want them to set a good example too. You want them to be collaborative. Uh, so in just as James Lawson had said, let's talk, let's discuss, right? Let's talk. So he didn't say, okay, here's what I found. He said, let's discuss. And so being collaborative, even leaders among leaders, commands respect. And it's very important that someone doesn't become an autocratic type of leader. This is what I say, now go execute it. So, and then I don't know if I mentioned that, but empathy, I think that's very important. One of the things the book brings out is that there was a necessity, and a lot of business run into this, to have to reorganize, and sometimes that that means uh, people lose their jobs.
Hmm.
Um, James Lawson found a way around that, and we'll talk about that later. But having the empathy, and many companies, when they do have um, to do a reorganization or restructuring, are going to have to make those hard decisions. Um, the impact on how hard it hits is really up to how those are framed. Um, so those are the ones I can come up right real quick. Uh, but knowledge, be knowledgeable, empathetic, collaborative, decisive is very important.
Okay, I think I'm going to put that there on LinkedIn as a question for others to be a part of it. That they should give us 10 reasons why AI leader will perform better than a woman figure leader. Then and my next question for you is, what do you think will be the early challenges that organization will face if they decided to bring in an AI CEO? What would be those early challenges?
Well, I think see, an AI CEO is not really meant to replace
Okay.
leadership, but is meant to be, um, because AI, if you believe that AI can make better executive decisions than humans, well, they can in some cases, but that's very disruptive. You know, is machine smarter than me? But the thing that humans bring is intuition and empathy, but also humans can bring in bias, fatigue, and inconsistency, where AI brings, with pattern recognition, data transparency, and scalability. When the leadership could become collaborative between human judgment and machine precision,
Mhm.
um, the value of AI is clearly seen. That it's not a board sit down at Chat GBT and asking questions. It's deeper than that. It's building your AI model based upon best leadership practices and going forth with that. But the biggest challenge is finding the right resources to get the AI models built for your particular company, for your particular goals, and make sure, and this is really important, make sure that that information is not contaminated. Make sure that it is walled off from any type of a cybersecurity um, events that could poison the information that you need to desperately.
Great. I don't know if you come across some recent discussion where they were asking, what's this now, the father of artificial intelligence, who received a Nobel Prize, I guess, last year. I can't remember his name, but he said some. They asked him a question that, do you believe if AI has emotions? And he said yes. And I've been thinking of coming up with some discussion that it is time for us to start looking into the behavioral pattern of AI technology, because they are currently there's a lot of research and development that is going into artificial intelligence, machine, and robots having emotions like human. Yeah, and that is why I'm going to launch a new section which is called AI and psychology. I want to bring a professor of psychology. Let us begin to talk about the mind of the machine. Yeah, and for an AI CEO to function more effectively, that AI CEO must definitely have some level of emotion. You know, you talk about empathy being a major characteristic of leadership. Yeah. Then, how possible do you think this can actually be a reality where an AI CEO will be able to, you know, demonstrate empathy? Like, because when it comes to making judgments, judgment sometimes or making major decision, it could be subjective in nature and sometimes it could be objective, which has to do with the human emotions. Then, to what extent do you think an AI CEO will be able to, fit into this?
Yeah. Well, empathy for a machine is something really to aspire to. I mean, it was something that I gave a lot of thought to, but
Okay.
as I was thinking about it, is there an algorithm that says be empathetic? Uh, you know, when these conditions happen, right?
Yes.
But um, there's really the tech is here. There's a big gap in the mindset on how far AI can go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, whether emotions and empathy can be, that's the goal of general AI, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
is to have that in the pinnacle, and some say it's 20 years, maybe 20 years general AI. The rate things are moving, who knows how much quicker it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
But I think in true leadership, if empathy is a supplement to where the leaders that are using AI can recognize that empathy is an important part of how they lead, I think that that would be probably, you know, to get empathy from a machine, you know, is different than getting empathy, hug from a human, right?
Wow. Um, my next question is, what would be a conducive atmosphere for this AI CEO to be able to operate? And when I say conducive atmosphere, I'm looking at government policy. With government policy supports an AI being a CEO of an organization, and I'm looking at a use case where the AI, people have to report to artificial intelligence, which means the woman report to the AI CEO. That is the typical environment I'm looking at. Then, what do you think will be the conducive environment? What factors will facilitate the seamless adoption of this concept? I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes sense to you. Yeah.
yeah. The mindset is important. Um, and as we were discussing earlier, having an understanding of what AI how can impact your business specifically.
Mhm.
So we're already seeing, AI optimizing supply chains. The AI is very uh, useful in detecting threats in cybersecurity,
Mhm.
and even in financials. They're using AI extensively. Uh, Whether it's at the level of leadership, but it's definitely making an impact on how businesses operate. Um, Specifically, government. You talk about governance. That's something that um, I believe needs to be looked at sooner than later because of there's almost a wild west out there. There's like the AI and there's the deep and dark AI, right? So to compartmentalize and regulate it to an extent to where in going back to trust, right? Is the information we're getting from AI, is it trustworthy? Is it
Mhm.
explainable? Even that simplicity to something that's very complex is important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Now, we're going to have probably about 2 or 3 episodes of this book. And in our next episode, I'm going to do some research on recent journals that talk about some of the things that we discuss and that kind of align with major chapters, because I think it's very important that we align our discussion with contemporary situations are happening right now. And we can also talk about specific use cases of companies that are trying to build this kind of application. Yeah, because some specific AI startup are already working on it, and we've heard stories of some schools in the US using AI to teach students, and the report has been amazing. Yeah, that students have been learning very seamless in that condition. They are performing better, and if we can start getting this kind of win in the educational sector, that means this can easily be translated or replicated in the organizational sector. Then I really want this book review to be more engaging. I want it to lead to further discussion where students who are currently doing sociology, psychology, and other social sciences can start looking at, what will be the impact of AI on organization leadership. Yeah, because psychology and sociology, they've actually posited a lot of theory, to support this claim. Now, will AI make those theory and concept become obsolete? Yeah. Do we need to start, looking at a new aspect of psychology, a new concept of sociology? Now, these are questions we need to, yeah, it's going to cause a lot of disruption in learning. Then that means our educational sector need to start reviewing, what I actually teach in all of these disciplines. Yeah, it's going to impact it in a great way. Yeah, it's going to change how women communicate, it's going to change how women interact. And now, I think it's time for us to start expecting new set of being living with us, which is robots. We'll start having robots in our homes, and we'll start seeing them in the street. I was told that in South Korea, or which or country in Asia, that robots have been licensed to move around. You see, now that was the question I was asking Chris. I said, what do you think would be the factors to facilitate the easy, seamless adoption of AI becoming a CEO? Now, that is why we mention government policy. Government policy will play a vital role, in pushing this. And you see, this book is very, very interesting. You don't want to miss it. You want to, if you really want to understand how the future of leadership will look like, if you're a leader in a company, you want to stay relevant. I um I encourage you to get a copy for yourself. I'm going to post it on my LinkedIn and put the link as well. And I also spoke to Chris to come up with a discount code for my followers so that you guys can have the opportunity, to explore this book, and we can have meaningful discussion. I believe I'm going to bring Chris from time to time. I think this is a very engaging topic, and I think I have, a lot of experience, from articles that I've read. I think we can have interesting discussion. Maybe we can bring in a professor of psychology and sociology, and we can start looking into all discussion together with Chris. Oh, and my last question for Chris would be, Chris, can you tell us five key things that people will learn from reading your book?
I think there's a lot of even though it's a book of fiction, there's a lot of information that you'll find very relatable,
Yeah.
especially if you've worked in technology.
Yes.
That's one thing. Another thing is you'll see how uh, these decisions evolve and how the decisions are challenged and how they're um, audited and what the final product is. It's a very systemic way as you're looking at, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to make sure uh, at first they did it in secret,
Mm.
and how long can you keep a secret, right? So they found that they really needed to be transparent about what they were doing, especially with the employees, because once they found out, it wasn't a big deal because they loved working there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing with great leadership, it really helps the morale of a company. So if you're a leader, um, do a check on the morale of those who work for you, because that is instrumental in turning this company around. And I think you enjoy seeing uh, some of the, and we talked about empathy, some of the things that were very empathetic. Um, in fact, there was one problem that had come up, and instead of the CEO calling a meeting, getting the board together, communications all downline, what did he do? He contacted the person in charge of that project directly. You don't
Wow.
see that a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, so that really made an impact. Of course, when an employee gets really good experiences, right? They're going to talk about it. They'll tell
Mm.
other people, "Yeah, we work for a great guy." And also, if they're not so good, they're going to talk about it too. So you want to do the right things, and I think in my vision for the leadership, working for the companies that I have, uh, I've worked for some great managers, some great leaders, and that hasn't always been the case. But AI can go a long way in improving leadership, and as they come to looking to how can we implement, it's not just about the knowledge; it's about the culture.
Mm. I totally agree too. Chris, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this book review, and it looked like an exciting discussion. And I believe I see us having multiple episodes, and would I think in our subsequent episode we can also bring in scholars, to give us their own perception, about some of the things you cover in your chapter, even though it looks like a fiction, but to me it's looking like a prophecy that is coming to pass. Thanks everyone for joining our first episode of AI Book Review on AI Spotlight Show. My name remains Henry Onowale, your AI host. I'm currently attending Snowflake Summit 2025 at Moscone Center, San Francisco, California. And, stay tuned for some of the updates. Snowflake actually announced some new AI products into their platform. And I had the opportunity of interviewing them yesterday, and that was really amazing. Look forward to that. If you're not following my YouTube channel, I'm going to share that. Please, this episode will also be uploaded on the YouTube channel. You can also follow to be able to catch up with it. Thanks, everyone, and do have a great and blessed day.